Hello friends, my H.S. Ahmed, Assistant Professor and Head of the Department of Physics, SFS College, Seminar Hills, Nagpur. Today we are going to see a topic, oscillators. It is a topic in BSc Semester 6, Unit 1 in Paper 2. My outline of presentation will be what are oscillators, what is the difference between amplifier and oscillator, then their classification, what are the condition for sustained oscillation, then we are going to see the physical considerations of the LC tuned circuits, and then after that we will study Hartley oscillators and we will solve then few problems on that. So let's begin. So oscillators may be defined as an electronic circuit which converts energy from a DC source into a periodically varying electrical output, or they can also be defined as a amplifier which uses positive feedback that generates an output frequency without any use of input signal. So it's a self-sustaining electronic circuits, that is, it produces non-stop signals of typical waveform without the need of any input signal. They are used in telecommunication systems for carrier frequencies. They are also used in digital circuits for clock frequencies. They are also used in test equipments like CRO for time-based signals. Now let us see the difference between the amplifier and oscillators. First we will see about the amplifier. What amplifier do? It takes input from the source and it also takes the energy from a DC source, and then it amplifies that input signal waveform with higher amplitude, or it increases the strength of that input signal. So basically an amplifier requires the input signal for its functioning. In case of oscillators, it is a circuit which only requires DC source or DC power supply, and it gives us the output without any input signal. So you can see in this diagram the output is generated without any input signal. So this oscillator generates AC or some kind of waveforms without providing it any input signal. Now let us study about the types of oscillators. So oscillators basically can be classified into two categories: sinusoidal oscillators and non-sinusoidal oscillators. In case of non-sinusoidal oscillators, which are also called as relaxation oscillators, they can produce square waveforms, triangular waveforms, sawtooth waveform, etc. In case of sinusoidal oscillators, basically they generate the sinusoidal output. Now here they generate the sinusoidal output with the help of some element. These element which produce that, they can be either LC tune circuit or tank circuit, it can be RC network, or it can be a crystal. So LC tune circuits can further be classified as a Hartley oscillator, Colpitts oscillator, Clap oscillator, tune collector, or tune base or Armstrong oscillators. RC tune circuits are RC phase shift oscillators, Wien bridge oscillator, twin T oscillators. In case of crystal oscillators, the Peirce oscillator is very common. Now let us see about the condition for sustained oscillations. So an oscillator can give you output sustained oscillations or continuous generation of the oscillations, provided it satisfies certain conditions. Now this condition are called as the Barkhausen's criterion. This Barkhausen criteria is a theoretical condition in a linear electronic circuit that determines it The Barkhaussen's criterion is a theoretical condition in a linear electronic circuit that determines when it is going to oscillate. In 1921, these conditions were suggested by German physicist Heinrich Georg Barkhausen, and therefore they are known as a Barkhaussen's criterion. Now, what are these Barkhaussen's criterion? Number 1, loop gain or feedback factor A into B must be equal to 1. That is, loop gain must be equal to unity. Here A is the gain of the amplifier and beta is the feedback fraction. Another condition is feedback must always be positive type of feedback, that is regenerative feedback or direct feedback around the loop. That is, when you are taking output, you are tapping the output from that circuit and you are providing it the input, then this must be in the same phase. Okay, so two conditions can be written as mod of beta A must be equal to 1 and another is angle beta A must be equal to 0. Now let us see the physical consideration of the tuned circuit. For any oscillator circuit, to generate the oscillations, we need certain components which will be in that circuit. The current must move back and forth so that the oscillations are generated or oscillatory currents are produced in that circuit. So in case of LC oscillators, LC tuned circuits, that is a inductor and a capacitor connected in parallel forms a tank circuit, and oscillatory current which flows back and forth into this tank circuit creates the oscillator or generates the oscillations. So I have a animation here. I start this animation. Let us try to see the how the oscillatory current flows in this oscillatory circuit. Now this is a capacitor. Initially it is completely charged. Now as soon as it is connected to this inductor, it starts discharging through this inductor. It sends amount of current. It starts building the current. When the current rises, magnetic fields are produced around this coil. Now when this capacitor is completely discharged, that is charge on this capacitor becomes 0, the total energy of this electrostatic energy of this capacitor gets converted into the magnetic energy around this coil, and maximum current is flowing through this capacitor. Now because of inertia, the current starts flowing in the same direction. The current, because of the Lenz's law, it starts flowing in the same direction, and this magnetic energy now starts diminishing. The current continues flowing in this direction, and now what happens, it starts charging this plate as a positive, right? So this magnetic energy gets completely converted into the electrostatic energy, charging this capacitor but with opposite polarity. Now initially here there was positive charges, now it becomes this plate of this capacitor becomes the positive and this becomes at that instant negative. Now when it happens, this electrostatic energy is maximum, and again this capacitor starts discharging through this inductor. Now the current flows in this direction, and this electrostatic energy starts converting into the magnetic energy around this inductor. Once this is completely discharged, the total energy is converted into the magnetic energy around this inductor. Now because of again Lenz's law and inertia, the current starts flowing in the same direction, charging these capacitor plates, and the current flows in this direction now. So this magnetic energy is converted into the electrostatic energy of this capacitor. This magnetic energy will be completely converted into the electrostatic energy between this capacitor plate when the magnetic field is 0 or magnetic field is completely removed. right? And this cycle again is continues. Charging and discharging of this capacitor is conversion of this electrostatic energy into the magnetic energy, and magnetic energy in the electrostatic energy of this capacitor. So it is something like this. Now if there are no resistance present in this circuit, that is this coil is resistance free and this dielectric doesn't pose any resistance in the circuit, then these kind of steady oscillations of sinusoidal kind will be generated in this circuit. However, in practical case, a small amount of resistance is always going to be present over there. So instead of this steady oscillations, we will have a damped oscillations whose amplitude will diminish with time. Exponentially their amplitude will decrease with time. So after some time these oscillations will die out. The frequency of these oscillations can be written as that theory you have studied in your first year syllabus. So f naught is equal to 1 over 2 pi square root 1 upon LC minus r square over 4 L square. So more is the resistance, less will be the frequency. Now if there is no resistance, so obviously this second term will be 0 and we will have this oscillator which will be there forever. No energy will be wasted into the circuit and oscillations will continue indefinitely in this LC tuned circuit. Okay, so this is the function of the LC tuned circuit in case of LC tuned oscillators. So basically this is the element which generates the responsible for generation of the oscillation. Now when these amplitude are continuously dying, we should have a provision that this amplitude of oscillation must be maintained constant. Now what is done is, what we do is we provide an amplifier here, and that amplifier takes care that this amplitude of this oscillation which is produced in this circuit is maintained constant. So that is the function of the amplifier. So in addition to this tuned circuit, we also need a amplifier. So this LC tuned circuit in addition to the amplifier is going to give us a complete circuit of oscillator. So let us study about the Hartley oscillator. Now Hartley oscillator is a sinusoidal oscillator. It consists of LC tuned circuit in which a capacitor C and an inductor LT which is tapped or split into two parts are connected in shunt. There is another kind of circuit, series oscillator also. However, because the amount of current is continuously flowing through that coil and a lot of power is wasted, so this combination, the shunt kind of Hartley oscillator, is more popular. Now in this circuit, the ends of the tapped coil LT are inductively coupled so that extreme points of the tapped coil are 180 degree out of phase. I will explain you in the diagram in the next slide. So additional phase shift of 180 degree is provided by the BJT transistor amplifier in the common emitter mode. Thus total phase difference around the loop will be 360 degree or 0 degree. A shunt fed Hartley oscillator is as shown in the figure in the next slide. The resistances R1, R2 and Re provides necessary bias conditions for the circuit. The circuit of oscillator, Hartley oscillator, was first proposed by Ralph Hartley in 1915 and therefore it is called Hartley oscillator. RFC is the radio frequency choke and offers large reactance at the oscillation frequency. The radio frequency choke prevents radio frequency current from reaching to the source of the collector supply voltage. The function of CC1 and R2 is to produce self-bias base voltage so that when amplitude of the input voltage is large, the transistor operates under class C conditions, because in that case the efficiency is maximum. Now let us try to understand the working. As soon as the supply voltage is switched on, the transient current is produced in the tank circuit, and consequently damped harmonic oscillations are set up in the circuit. The phase difference across L1 and L2 in the tank circuit is 180 degree. The voltage across L1 is fed back to the input terminal of the amplifier. Now let's go to the next slide. So this is the basic circuit diagram of Hartley oscillator. So we can see this dotted box is nothing but the CE amplifier in common emitter mode, and this second dotted box is nothing but the tank circuit, in which this coil L1 and L2 they are connected or they are splitted, and the middle part is grounded. A variable capacitor here is connected in parallel to this L1 and L2. It ensures that if you want to change the frequency of oscillation of this circuit, then this facilitates. The output is taken over here, right? R1, R2 and RE provides the necessary biasing. CE is the bypass capacitor. This capacitor is connected in CE mode. RFC here, when this circuit is operating, it is going to generate a high frequency oscillations. Now these high frequency oscillations should not interfere with this power supply, and therefore an inductor, we know that it offers high resistance or impedance at high frequencies, so they won't be moving or they won't be interfering, changing the voltage of this power supplies. This tank circuit output, in this tank circuit output is taken across this coil L2 between this and this terminal, and voltage across this L1 is the feedback voltage. So see, this is connected to the input terminal and this is grounded, so whatever voltage is developing across this is going to be the feedback voltage. Now this circuit ensures that this end and this end are 180 degree apart, so that when this output is whatever is the phase of this one, this end will be 180 degree out of phase. So this splitting of this inductor L1 and L2 ensures that this is going to produce a 180 degree phase difference, right? Further, when this is fed, this CE mode transistor amplifier will ensure that this is going to produce 180 degree out of phase. So this 180 degree out of phase difference introduced by this tank circuit and the this CE mode transistor amplifier adds to 360 degree or 0 degree phase difference, right? Now how much is the feedback voltage? Now feedback voltage, the fraction of feedback voltage which is tapped from here at the output is going to be the Vf over Vo. Vf is the voltage across this coil L1, right? Between these two terminals, whatever voltage is developing is Vf, and whatever is the voltage at this terminal with respect to this ground is nothing but the Vo. So beta, that is feedback fraction, is Vf upon Vo. Now that is also, this voltage is current into impedance or reactance. So this is I into XL2 and this is again I into XL1. So I gets cancelled. This XL can be written as omega L2, and here it is also omega L1. So omega will get cancelled, so we will have L2 over L1. So feedback fraction is L2 over L1. Now the frequency of this circuit is f is equal to 1 over 2 pi square root 1 upon C into LT, where LT is the total inductance. This LT is L1 plus L2 plus 2M, where M is the mutual inductance between the two coils. Because of their design, this is going to be the effective or total inductance in the tank circuit. Now how the oscillations are generated in this circuit? Now as soon as you switch on this circuit, the moment you switch on this circuit, transients are generated across these resistances, this whatever resistances are present in the circuit. Transient meaning is current is going to rush and it is going to produce the noise current in these resistances. So what will happen, these noise will be generated in this coil. are going to be amplified by this amplifier, CMO transistor amplifier. Now out of these many currents, whichever is the natural frequency or the resonant frequency of this tank circuit, that is going to be favored by this circuit and that will be amplified, rest will be rejected. So at the output that frequency will be present. So this switching on the circuit which generates the noise across these resistances is going to create sinusoidal voltage, and out of so many currents, one is going to be picked and favored by this circuit, and that is going to be amplified by this circuit, and that will be available as a time varying voltage at output of this circuit. So beta is equal to is Vf upon Vo. Now beta can be written as I XL2, that is current flowing through that coils, and whatever is the reactance of this coil, corresponding coils. So I can write I XL2 upon I XL1. I will get cancelled. XL2 can be written as omega L2, and XL1 can be written as omega L1. Omega again will get cancelled. So beta is equal to L2 over L1. This much is the feedback fraction for that tank circuit. Now condition for the sustained oscillation is this much is the attenuation, we can say. So this has to be compensated in order to generate the oscillation into the circuit. So condition for sustained oscillation is A is equal to 1 over beta. So that is equal to L1 over L2. Now these are the resonant frequency of the oscillation. Omega R is equal to 1 over square root L1 plus L2 plus 2m times C. Resonant frequency is linear resonant frequency can be written as omega R divided by 2 pi. So we can substitute this value. Fr is equal to 1 over 2 pi square root LT C. So LT is equal to L1 plus L2 plus 2m. These are the advantage of Hartley oscillator. So one advantage is that in place of two separate coils, a single coil with tapping can be used, and again the frequency of oscillation can easily be varied by means of a variable capacitor. So these are the advantage. Again there are certain drawbacks associated with this Hartley oscillator circuit. One is poor frequency stability. So frequency stability is not good, and second, not suitable for low frequency below 100 kilohertz. So if we want to generate low frequencies through this circuit, then the value of L required will be very large and the circuit will become very bulky. Again copper is very costly, so circuit will also become costly, and therefore it is not suitable for the low frequency. So there are various uses of these oscillator circuits. What are these uses? So they are used in communications, they are used for production of the carrier frequencies, then they are also used in computer peripherals, counters, timers, calculators, in phase lock loops, digital multimeters, oscilloscopes for test, then various other applications are there. So these are short problems. In Hartley oscillator, the value of the capacitor in the tuned circuit is 500 pf, and the two sections of the coil have inductance is 38 microhenry and 12 microhenry. Find the frequency of oscillation in the feedback fraction. So the values are given here. The frequency of oscillation in case of Hartley oscillator is given by Fr is equal to 1 upon 2 pi square root L1 plus L2 plus 2m times C. Here there is no coupling between the L1 and L2, and therefore it is not given actually coupling. So we can consider m is equal to 0, so that our formula becomes this one, and we can substitute the value of all the components, and if I substitute the value of all the components, the resonant frequency or the oscillation frequency of the circuit becomes this much, 1 megahertz. Now feedback fraction beta is equal to L2 over L1, both the values are given. If we substitute the value, then beta comes out to be this much. Second example, in Hartley oscillator, if L1 is equal to 0.1, L2 is equal to 10 microhenry, and the mutual inductance between the two coils is 20 microhenry, calculate the value of the capacitance C of the oscillatory circuit to obtain a frequency of 4110 kilohertz, and also find the condition for the sustained oscillation. So these are the values given. Again, resonant frequency formula is this one. Now we want to find C. C is coming in the square root of this formula, so we need it outside, so we can square it, and then C can be sent to this side, FR square can be sent to the right hand side, so that formula becomes this much. We can substitute the values of all the components, and if we substitute and calculate, so this comes out to be 11.54 pf. The condition for sustained oscillation is A is equal to 1 over beta, so inverse of beta actually, so that is inverse of 1 upon L2 over L2 or L1, so that is L1 upon L2. So if we substitute the value, then A comes out to be minimum value of this A must be at least 10. So these are few references which I have used in preparation of this lecture. Thank you.